My day job is composing music for animation, but I also stay pretty busy as an arranger and orchestrator for other composers and songwriters. A few years ago, I was introduced to the songwriter Andrew Underberg, and he was writing songs with Sam Haft on a new series based on the popular Vivian Medrano pilot project, Hazbin Hotel, and they needed an orchestrator. The first song I worked on was Happy Day in Hell, the first musical number from the first episode. The assignment was to create this giant, over-the-top, epic theatrical arrangement, and to do it entirely out of the box, which means just using virtual instruments. The concept musically was to make it as sincere and optimistic as possible, to support the main character, Charlie Morningstar, played by Erica Henningsen, who genuinely wants to make a difference in people's lives. Or afterlives, I suppose. I mean, after all, they're in hell.
Is this heaven?
No.
The song is classic, beautiful, hilarious, and a true joy to be a part of. So I thought it'd be fun to show you my process of orchestrating this song from start to finish. Let's get into it. So the first thing I'm always given on Hazbin Hotel is a scratch vocal, usually sung by Andrew and Sam. This is Sam singing Happy Day in Hell. A simple piano sketch. Here's the piano audio, and here's the piano MIDI, and this is what I get.
I can do this. Somehow I know it. Charlie, hold on. I'll get heaven behind my plans. There's just no way I could blow it.
It's just a meeting.
Not this once-in-a-lifetime chance to change their minds and touch their hearts or whatever angels have.
This could be bad.
Cheer up, faggy. This could be swell. Something tells me that today will be a happy day in hell.
So in musical theater, you have these intros to songs, and it's pretty common that the intros just sort of, they set the scene, right? They just sort of kind of float there in a sense of anticipation before the song takes off. So for this, I didn't do very much. I decided to just leave it with just a little bit of strings and a little bit of, I have some glockenspiel here that doubles the piano, that's orchestral bells, and some chimes, just some wind chimes to give a sense of sort of atmospheric kind of magic to bring you into this song. That's all I have in the beginning. So here we have violins.
I can do this.
Here.
Somehow I know it.
Charlie, hold on.
I'll get heaven behind my plan.
Glockenspiel.
There's just no way.
Violins up an octave.
I could blow it.
It's just a meeting.
Not this once in a lifetime.
Strings to fill out the B section of the intro. Space.
This could be swell. Something tells me that today will be a happy day in hell.
So each section has its own form. The opening of this one, it just sort of floats there, and then it expands and grows in the B section of the intro. Then there's a breath of space, and then we're into the A section intro, which in the demo sounds like this.
Hell.
Just don't sing to that.
That bitch is halfway down the street.
Is she?
Dancing? Yup. There's a warm, fuzzy feel.
And then we go into the first verse. So the trick with orchestration is usually you're given some sort of basic piano demo, and you have to figure out how to translate that into orchestral instruments. Now, technically, computers can play anything, but in order for it to sound like a real orchestra, which is the goal when you do synth orchestration like this or virtual orchestration, you want it to sound like a real orchestra. So you have to write it, you have to orchestrate it as if humans were playing it. So you have to know what the limitations are of all these instruments. So here are the strings version of that piano intro. And with that little motif, that little 3-note motif, dig-a-did, dig-a-did, I thought that would be a good thing to double with a bunch of other colors, like woodwinds. And tuned percussion. Let me add the brass into this intro so you can just kind of hear how everything comes together. There's a little bit of percussion in here too. And then we're into the first verse.
There's a warm fuzzy feeling that wafts through the air. Every street so revealing, it's hard not to stare. It's a realm so appealing, it beats anywhere. If you don't mind the smell, it's a happy day in hell.
So just listening to the piano, everything is there as to what I should do with the orchestra. It's all there. So we have the dun 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 dun. That's one element. Digga-da, digga-da is another element. Bam bam is a third element. So to me, those are three different sections of the orchestra that all sort of have a call and response to each other. You can kind of see it here with the horns here. And respond. And respond. Right? And that carries on. It's a fun thing I always like to do that is kind of it's a traditional music theater thing, is to just squeeze in little things orchestrationally, little colors in between the lines. So you can hear right here at the end of each vocal phrase, I'll throw something in there.
There's a warm fuzzy feeling that wafts through the air. Every street so revealing, it's hard not to stare. It's a realm so appealing, it beats anywhere. If you don't mind the smell.
So you sort of shoehorn little things in between. As soon as a singer is taking a breath, you squeeze something in there. You throw in a little color. And that's one of the fun things about this type of orchestration is you're constantly sort of, I always think of it as like I'm given a coloring book, the picture is there, and I get to choose what colors go there, and I just bust out my crayons and have a good time. This is really fun for me to do. I love doing this kind of work.
This is so much fun!
You hear this rising piano line right here. Why not double that with woodwinds? Did I double it with strings as well? No, just woodwinds. So I doubled that piano line here with winds. Bass clarinets, clarinet, and flute. Let's hear that by itself. With the piano. All right, let's take it to the bridge. Here's the demo of the bridge.
If I can show them the dream I've dreamed, that any soul can change,
Those angels' minds could never
will know
change.
everyone can be redeemed from the evil to the strange. They're bloodthirsty and deranged. I can
So in the bridge sections of musical theater songs, traditionally the bridge is where the song sort of opens wide, right? So I thought it'd be good to have a nice soaring string part to go along with it.
If I can show them the dream I've dreamed, that any soul can change.
Let's hear those strings by themselves. There's two things going on. There's three really. You have the low strings. You have the middle strings playing this arpeggiated figure, which is doubled in the clarinets. Let's hear that. And the big soaring violin line here. And of course, when things get wide open, they open up, you want to have brass and percussion supporting everyone. So let's hear the bridge with the entire orchestra by itself. Let's add in just the vocal and see how that sounds.
If I can show them the dream I've dreamed, that any soul can change,
Those angels' minds
then
could
they
never
will know
change.
everyone can be redeemed from the evil to the strange. They're bloodthirsty and deranged.
So the whole purpose of this sort of orchestration, this kind of orchestration, is to listen very closely to the lyrics, the vocal phrasing and to support and amplify it at every turn. That's sort of the whole game with this kind of orchestration. When you're accompanying a singer, it is all about the song. So first and foremost, it's to stay out of the way and make sure that all the vocals can be heard, all the melodies that they're singing, especially the words that they're singing. So my job first, I always think of as to stay out of the way, then to just really support what's there and amplify it, just amp it up and make it, in this case, as big and over the top as possible, because the more over the top this song is, the funnier it is, because you have this contrast between Charlie Morningstar, who is sort of the epitome of optimism, right? And she's in hell, and she's surrounded by these people that need to be redeemed. And that's the joke. So the idea with the orchestration is to make that contrast as stark as possible. And this A3 section after the bridge, before we get to the end, really just breaks down to where we were in the first verse, slower, and you can see up here we have tempo increase. So I believe this was a copy and paste, honestly. Let's see. Yeah, it's the same thing. Then we get to a completely unrelated C section here. We have this little jazzy little swing section here.
In hell. From the porn studio where the cinephiles go to watch a...
So it's just a little jazz swing thing. And whenever I'm confronted with jazz, the first thing I do is confronted. Whenever jazz is assigned to me, let's put it that way, first thing I do is I go to the rhythm section. So the first thing I did was just throw down a simple little brush kit. And then added strings to follow the piano part. And of course, that rising piano line here has to be doubled with woodwinds. And what jazz arrangement would be complete without a little horn section? So let's hear this brass section actually by itself. Let's take everybody else out. It's just punches, really. Here we go. Very thin. Couple trumpets and a trombone. Actually, you know what? We have saxophones up here. Let's bring those in too. That's part of the jazz band. There we are. Bass clarinet is also in there. That little trill right there is to play a punchline. So all together, let's hear the whole orchestra here and this little jazz section, which I love how this song does a turn like that and becomes a different song and then finds its way back to where it came from. Here we are. Add the piano. Now we find our way back to a nice, giant, sort of classic, cinematic, epic. This is the peak of the song. So, of course, as before, you can see here I have this big sweeping violin line. I have this arpeggiating violin support and a nice low string doubled with low brass here and horns sustaining. So let's hear this demo first.
Heaven's genocide. There's can do this. Trash fire.
You know what? I actually replaced the entire piano here. So let's bring it back in. This whole section.
Can do this. Trash fire. I just know it. My soul. I'll get heaven behind my plans. There's just no way I could blow it. Not this once in a lifetime chance.
All right, so let's hear this section with vocals and strings, because I just showed you the different string parts. We have the high string, we have the low string down here, just playing, just supporting the sustained chords, and then this little arpeggiation, just to give it a sense of motion, forward momentum. Let's get some runaway
From
here.
heaven's genocide, I can do this. I just know it. I'll get heaven behind my plans. There's just no way I could blow it. Not this once in a lifetime chance to change their mind.
All right, let's add the brass in so we can hear that as well. Because the brass is what really fills out the largeness, the largesse of this whole section.
From heaven's genocide,
Brass, horns,
I just know it. I'll get heaven behind
low brass,
my plans. There's just no way I could blow it. Not this once in a lifetime chance.
let's hear the brass here by itself. All horns and low brass. No trumpets, no trombones. Except here. Trumpet. This is where we have a joke, so the entire brass section just sort of falls apart. We have that on the woodwinds here. Let's hear that. Also. That's funny. Well, let's take it out to the end, starting with just the strings, and then we'll add in layers, and then play everybody. Here we go. Here's the ending, strings only.
Oh, thank you. I'm just gonna fulfill my destiny. You're lost, bitch. I can already tell. Today is gonna be a happy day in hell.
All right, let's hear the strings by themselves here. Right here. This little line here, this dun 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 dun. Right there, let me grab it so you can hear it by itself. That little cello line, that's my favorite part of this whole arrangement. Actually, it's a little thing that I stuck in there because it is underneath the melody. Today is gonna be an effing right here.
I can already tell. Today is gonna be a.
And we have it doubled in the trombones. So we saved the trombones. I wasn't gonna forget you guys. Right here. Dun, 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 dun. I just love that part. So let's hear the ending with adding the brass section in as well. Horns here. Horns here. Save the trumpets for the end here. We have a nice big violin run at the end. All right, we'll add in the tuned percussion, the percussion section, and the woodwinds. Make sure we got everybody. And here's the entire end with the orchestra. All right, there we are. And with the vocal, let's hear it. And keep an eye out for this little thing right here, this little woodwind and tuned percussion flourish. I just love this, right at bar 101. I love that part.
I can already tell. Today's gonna be a happy day in hell.
Here. So that's it. It'd be nice to go into each individual part and get into detail, but that's for the uber nerds. And, you know, you're free to come by the house and I'll show it to you. But that's my process of orchestrating for Hazbin Hotel. This is the first tune from the first episode. And check below for links to, if you want to hear the final version of the song, which I'm sure if you're watching this, you already heard it, but there are links below so you can hear the broadcast version, the EP version that's put out for the soundtrack. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was educational and entertaining, and thanks for watching.
Yeah. Who this? This beat. Yo, who this? Yo, who this? Who this?